In this video, I'm going to show you the most commonly asked questions at Bunnings Warehouse interviews, and I'm also going to teach you how you can answer those. So let's look at a super important question, which is, what can you tell me about Bunnings Warehouse? And they expect you to have good knowledge, and in this section, I'm going to tell you all the key facts that you can take to your interview to make sure you're well prepared. So the first thing you do if you're asked this question is you describe them simply. You say they are an Australian household hardware chain. Then you expand your answer. You say that they sell in the DIY and home improvement market. That's what leads their business, but they also sell in the commercial and trade market as well. They are currently the Australian market leader. That means they have a bigger market share than any other competitor and therefore lead the market. They have their in-house brands like Ozito, Click, Matador, and Saxon, which you can only get at Bunnings Warehouse. They are their own brand products. They are now owned by Wesfarmers, which is a very large conglomerate owning lots and lots of businesses, so they're part of an even larger business. They were founded by Arthur and Robert Bunning. That is a great name to take to your interview, so you know the founders of the company. They originally started in the timber and sawmills business, and when they were founded all the way back in 1886, they were not a retailer. They were not running DIY warehouses. They weren't selling hardware. That wasn't the business. They were in timber and sawmills. However, when we move forward to 1952, that's when they started getting involved in the retail business. So there are two great dates that if you take those dates to your interview, that is going to be impressive knowledge that shows you've taken the time to prepare. And that's what they're really looking for. They also run DIY workshops and education. They have a very large YouTube channel, for example, and a big social following where they teach people how to use their products and how to do various DIY tasks. They are known a lot for their charity support. They've raised a very large amount of money for charities over the years, so it's a good idea to read about what they've been doing recently in that area. They are famous for their sausage sizzles, which are like a community event that also help their charity efforts. They have expanded to New Zealand quite recently with some acquisitions and have grown the business. And they also currently offer a loyalty program, so it's a good idea to know what is the loyalty program at Bunnings Warehouse currently, because it will change over time. So learn what the loyalty program is and be prepared to be able to talk about that and mention that at your interview. The next question that's important to know about is, what would you do if you saw something that was unsafe? And they want to see that you've got the right values. So let's look at a simple and easy way to answer this. The first thing you say, and you say it very clearly and very strongly, is, I take workplace safety very seriously. The next thing you say is that staff and customers at Bunnings must be kept safe at all times. This is the values that they want. They want people that take safety seriously, so be very, very clear about it. Then you say, Bunnings Warehouse will have clear health and safety policies that must be followed. So you're saying that you're going to learn what the policies are, what the safety procedures are, and you're going to be part of following those, because people have thought a lot about how to keep people safe in these sort of businesses, and you need to follow those policies. You will then say that I would intervene where safe and appropriate to do so to ensure safety. And the last thing you say is, I would report the incident in line with Bunnings company policy. So basically what you're saying here is, I take safety seriously. If I see something that's unsafe, I'm not going to ignore it, and I'm going to follow policy and safety procedures at all times. That is exactly what they want to hear, and that's how you get through that question. Another question that's very common, and unfortunately working in retail is going to be something that you will deal with a lot, which is, how would you deal with a difficult customer? And again, they want to see, one, that you're confident in doing it. Two, they would like to see that you've got some experience of doing this. And three, they want to see that you've got the right values. So let's start by getting the values right. So you say, I provide great service to all customers, irrespective of difficulty. So you immediately just bat the question away and say, yes, difficult customers, maybe they're difficult, but that doesn't matter. I will provide great service to everyone. Then you say, I look to understand the causes of difficulty. So why are these customers being difficult? Has something went wrong? Has something upset them? Are we not delivering and meeting their expectations? What is it that is causing this customer to be a little bit more difficult? And how can I effectively manage the situation? You then reassure them that I will remain calm and always behave professionally. You then say, I work to resolve any issues affecting or upsetting the customer. Then you can say, at all times, I'll follow Bunnings Warehouse policies, just a little bit of reassurance very quickly. And then the best thing you can do if you've got experience working with customers in any capacity, if you worked in a restaurant, for example, if you worked in any retail store, anything where you've had to deal with the public, the great thing you can do is link it to your experience. You can say, I have significant experience dealing with customers, and I am confident in my ability to manage them effectively. So you're very clear about the fact I've done this before, and talk about your previous jobs and how you've had to deal with difficult customers, and you're confident and experienced in doing it, and you can show off those skills as well and have a really strong answer. And that's how you answer this one. The next one that they'll be very interested in is they will ask something like, what hours can you work at Bunnings? So let's look at the key elements of a good answer, and I'll give you some suggestions of the great phrases that you might want to take to your interview. So a good answer, you really want to try to say yes. The more you can say yes, the more you're going to be an interesting hire to them. Be ready for follow-up questions. So they might say, can you work at weekends? Can you work on a Tuesday between this time and this time? And remember, if they ask about a specific time and they have written on their list of questions to ask every single person about this time, that is a massive clue that they are very, very interested in that time. So if you say, no, I can't work that time, they're probably going to not hire you. So the more you can say yes, the better your chance of getting the job is. Of course, if you absolutely could not ever work that time, you would have to say no, but remember that would reduce your chances of getting the job. You want to show them that you're flexible and open-minded. So if you say no to ever working certain times and you're very harsh and strong about that, that's going to reflect negatively. They would rather employ people who are flexible and open-minded. You want to try and talk about preferences. If you do have some restrictions on your availability, talk in terms of preferences and that you'll try your best to accommodate. Don't make demands. You're trying to get a job, and if you're saying, I will not work at this time, I can't do this day ever, that's quite demanding, and that's probably not going to go down very well. And fundamentally, you want to show that you meet Bunnings' needs. So they are asking this question to gauge, are you the right hire? Are you going to deliver what we are looking for or not? And so you need to answer this very carefully. So here are some phrases that are really good for Bunnings interviews. So if you've got fantastic availability, you could say, I'm pleased to say that I have very good availability and would be open to working shifts covering the entire range of opening hours. So that is showing the maximum amount of flexibility. If you are someone who is more restricted on flexibility and more restricted on the times that you can work, which is not a great answer, but you might be forced into that situation, you want to talk about, while I'm open to working a wide variety of shifts, open as much flexibility as you can. You would say, I would prefer shifts. Talk about your preferences, but don't immediately say no to loads of different times. You want to keep it as open as possible. You could say, I'd be open to overtime if it is available. It might not be available, but just a nice thing to volunteer. And you could say, if they tell you the times on the advertisement, you could say, I'm happy to work all of the hours you have put on the job ad. And that's also a nice way to answer it. Another question that's going to probably come up, which is, why do you want to work at Bunnings? So things that you want to think about is what makes Bunnings stand out. Why do you like this company more than other companies? Anything positive you can say about the business, this is a good time to say it. Show that it matches your skills and interests. So they are a DIY retailer. Do you have a lot of experience doing DIY? Do you love teaching people how to do DIY, improve their homes? Is this something that you read about, you've got a great interest in? Tell them that. Then show that it matches your experience. So if you've worked in retail and you've got experience maybe working in home improvement, or you've got some sort of skills or qualifications or anything that proves that you would be a great hire, that's a good thing to volunteer. And you can also link that to your reason why you want to work here, because you're going to be good at the job. Maybe talk about building a career at Bunnings. So if you're ambitious and you see that you could grow with this business and that it could match your aspirations, you could talk about that and be eager and show that you're really genuinely interested in this opportunity. So let's look at some things you might want to talk about. So if you've been shopping at Bunnings for years, talk about positive experiences as a Bunnings customer. So you really like the brand, you've shopped there for a long time, you like their product offering, and you would be enthusiastic in promoting it as an employee. Say that you really enjoy working with customers and you want to be working in a customer-facing role, that you enjoy meeting new people, that you're knowledgeable about DIY, that you know a lot about it, you've done a lot of DIY yourself, and so you're going to be a good hire for that reason. And this is the right place because you're going to be able to use the knowledge that you have. Bunnings has also ranked quite well in various surveys around best employer to work for. So do some research. Have they been put on any best employer list recently? And you can describe them as a good employer and see that you think they're going to be a great place to work. That you're going to enjoy the fact you're going to be able to help customers. That customers are going to come to you with questions and you're going to be able to help them and get them to achieve their DIY goals. You enjoy working in a team. Say that I can build a career at Bunnings. That's a nice phrase to say as a reason why you'd want to work there. And they also, unlike some other retailers, they have very strong community engagement where they engage with the local communities and you can talk really positively about what they do and all of the charity support and fundraising that they've done and say that's something you're really eager to get involved with alongside your main role. And that's something that really helped attract you to Bunnings and makes them more special, in your opinion. So make sure you have an answer planned out to this. I would bullet point at least 5 things that you're going to say about why you want to work here. And if you've got an answer thought out and planned out, it'll be so much better on the day and your answer will be so much more confident. Now, before we finish, let's look at some questions that you might want to ask before your interview finishes. So they'll say, do you have any questions for us? And it's a good idea to have questions ready. So I'll give you some suggestions, but feel free to think of some other ones, but I'll tell you ones that you should never ask. So you could say, in your experience having worked at Bunnings, what have you enjoyed most about working here? And share in their passion and enthusiasm and link that to why you want to work there and strengthen that previous answer. You could ask what potential training, development, and progression opportunities could be on offer to a high performing Bunnings employee over the next 3 to 5 years. Talk about your ambitions and see that this could be the right place for you, and also give the idea that you really care about working hard and being successful and being high performing and you take your work very seriously. You could also ask what was the main attraction for you to join Bunnings Warehouse, find out why they joined the company and link that to your reason why you would want to join the company. You could say, given that I'm very interested in the job and joining Bunnings Warehouse, could you let me know the next steps in your hiring process? Find out, are you going to get feedback? When are you going to find out if you got the job or not? Is there any other interviews? Probably a good thing for you to know. And then before you finish, thank the interviewer or the interview panel. Be very sincere in your thanks. For the interview, reiterate your interest in the job and end positively. Very important to have a nice, positive, friendly end. Things that you never ask about is holidays. Don't ask how many days off do I get. Don't ask about taking time off, saying if I was to get the job, I need 2 weeks off before I've even started. Delaying start date, transferring to another Bunnings Warehouse. Say I've applied to this one, but I'd rather work at a different location. And you're being interviewed by the manager of that location who is trying to staff their store, and you're immediately talking about leaving before you've even got the job. That is not going to be very, very popular. So I hope this is helpful to you. Please post in the comments what questions Bunnings asked in your interview so we can build up a database of all the questions that likely come up, and that will be really helpful to other people. If it was helpful in this video, please like and subscribe. And finally, thank you very much for watching.